ওকে, আমাদের Good morning, students. 5 minute to 7 minute delay. It was just to bring to your notice 5 toppers for college. So once again, congratulations to all the toppers, and even congratulations to those who have missed very narrowly from that group of 5 toppers group what we had displayed over here. Okay, anyhow, once again congratulations to all of you. So yesterday we were going with some of the typical numericals, important numericals, which already we have forwarded you, and in that, in the last part of yesterday's period, we could complete 2 numericals which are given to you. Let's go with third one today, and the third one is electrostatic force of repulsion between 2 positive charged ions carrying equal charges is, they have given you. So between 2 ions, electrostatic force is given to us. Electrostatic force, how much is that? 3.7 10 to the power minus 9 Newton. So between 2 ions, this is the force given. And also it is mentioned that they are separated by a distance. These 2 ions which are given to us are separated by a distance of 5 angstrom unit. 1 angstrom is how much? 10 to the power minus 10 meter. So that separation they are given in angstrom unit. And you all know 1 angstrom is 10 to the power minus 10. As it is mentioned that we have got 2 ions, positively charged ions. So these are the 2 ions which they are speaking about. These 2 ions are separated by the distance which is mentioned there. Then naturally, these 2 ions will have a force of repulsion between them, which we represent in this way. We are done with this. Equal and opposite forces they experience repulsion. And magnitude of these 2 repulsion forces, or magnitude of repulsion force, we calculate by Coulomb's law. And it is 9 into 10 to the power 9. I am directly writing the value of 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0, which already is calculated for the vacuum media, into Q1. What is Q1? Charge on the first ion. Q2. What is Q2? Charge on the second ion, divided by R square. Now as it is mentioned that 2 positively charged ions carrying equal charges. So you mean Q1 and Q2 is equal. So you can write this as F equal to 9 into 10 to the power 9. I'll write Q square. Q1 equal to Q2 equal to Q I am taking, divided by R square. So what I have to do is that rearrange this equation. I'm supposed to get charge on each ion, and as I mentioned, charge on both of them is equal as mentioned there, and that I have to calculate. So if I rearrange this, I would get Q square equals to F into R square divided by 9 into 10 to the power 9. F is given to you, which is mentioned there. R is given to you, which we have mentioned there. So if you substitute these values, q square equal to how much is here? 3.7 10 to the power minus 9 into r is how much? 5 into 10 to the power minus 10 whole square divided by that parameter 9 into 10 to the power 9. So you can go ahead with a simple calculation. First you calculate all this right hand side, and lastly don't forget to take a square root, because you have got this as a q square value, but you need to arrive at q. You can work it out and arrive to the answer. Right now I am not going to tell you the answer. Arrive to the answer. Whatever answer you get, you just post in your respective WhatsApp group, so that teacher will tell you whether it is right or wrong. So every individual now, you will have to post your answer there after calculating, which will confirm me that you all are solving it. Because unless and until you do that, particularly numerical part, you cannot become thorough in the numericals. One sample I am taking this time. You can search from the book whatever you have got, such many other type of examples, and you can practice them. Because it is a practice which will make you perfect. Otherwise, just by it's like a kind of reading the problem. Whatever solution you never work you. I think most of you have got very bad habit. Even for the subject like mathematics and physics, you just keep on reading the solution. That is not going to work out. Rather, you will have to work out it. You have to write on the paper. You will have to go step by step. You will have to struggle. Immediately don't try to see the solution if it is available in the book. You will have to keep on working until you get the answer. And remember, if you follow this method, struggle, and come to the answer, that joy is totally different. And that will remain in a permanent memory also. So, while solving the numericals, have a patience. Just quickly, don't hurry up to look into the solution. Have a patience, struggle it, try again and again. And if you try, I don't think that problem will become a problem to you. Okay, anyhow, let me move to the next numerical which is given there. Next problem, fourth problem there. Two identical charges Q, each is Q, are kept at a distance R from each other. A third charge Q is placed on the line joining the above two charges such that all the three charges are in equilibrium. What is the magnitude, sign and position of the charge Q? So they are asking you what is the magnitude, sign and also position of that charge. So let's go ahead, then very important. Conceptual, I'll just make you understand first. Okay, see here. Very interesting problem. What is given there? There are two charges. One is Q and another is also Q. These two charges are separated by distance small r. Now in this system of two charges, I am asked to introduce a third charge. Which is that third charge? Let me call it as a small q. Where did I introduce that third charge? Let me say from this charge at a distance x. Then at what distance is this charge from the another? This is x. Remaining is r minus x, you can see. And what is asked is that what should be the magnitude, nature and position of that third charge, so as to what is to happen. That system is to be in a equilibrium. If I am not wrong, what are they asking? What should be the third charge so that all the three charges are in equilibrium? Remember, whenever you expect any system of any number of charges to be in a equilibrium, when you want having everybody experiencing resultant for 0. If each and every charge of that system experiences 0 net force experienced by every charge is 0, then such a system of charges is said to be in a equilibrium. Remember, very important condition. A system of given number of charges is said to be in a equilibrium if every charge of that system experience net force at 0. Now, if I look at the present scenario here, I can understand every charge in that system is going to experience two forces. Say for example, if I talk about this, I will have force exerted on this charge by this small q. I will have a force exerted on this charge by the another charge, capital Q. So I mean over here, on this charge, how many forces do I have? 2. At the same time, if I talk about this charge, I will have a force on this charge exerted by this. I will have a force on this charge exerted by this. Not only, I mean every of them. If I come over here, I will have force on the charge exerted by this. I will have force on the charge exerted by this. So system of 3 charges, everybody is experiencing how many forces? 2. A system of 4 charges, everybody will experience 3 forces. A system of n charges, each of them will experience n minus 1 forces. Resultant of whatever the forces they are experiencing need to be 0 on every resultant need to be 0. Then the given system of charges can be said as in a equilibrium. Now once I understand that everybody is experiencing what kind of, how many forces? 2. Say for example, I doesn't know what is the nature of this. Whether it is a positive or negative, I doesn't know. But I am been mentioned that, I am been given that these 2 charges are like charges. Q. Nothing is mentioned any plus. If it was minus Q, they would have said. Then, if I say this is positive, this is also positive, this is positive, what kind of force I will have? Repulsion. I am going with this as a positive, for example. This is positive, this is also positive. What kind of force I will have? A repulsion. So what I see then? This as a positive and given capital as a positive. I see that over here on this chart, the 2 forces which I have got. Now I need an equilibrium for the every charge under influence of 2 forces. My primary and essential condition for those 2 forces should be they must be in opposite direction. First step satisfy those 2 forces must be in opposite direction, and that I could see in case of this. Same way, if I just check out with this, between these 2, I will have a repulsive force because they are same charges, like charges between these 2. And that repulsive force is here. Whereas I am going with this as also positive. Then between these two, I will have a repulsive force and that will act in this direction. Got my point? If this is positive, then I am going to have one more force in the same direction. And there comes a problem. What is that problem? If I want this charge to be in equilibrium, this is definitely going to be repulsive because these two are like charges. Now the question is that the one more force which I am having available there must be compulsory in opposite direction. And if that is to happen, if this force has to be in opposite direction, this must be negative. With capital Q as a positive, this must be negative. With capital Q negative, this must be positive. So I mean the third charge which is to be introduced in between the system of two like charges, the third charge should have nature opposite to the two charges which are given. So once what I get to know, third charge which I am introducing here must be of opposite nature compared to these two. If these two are positive, this must be negative. If these two are negative, this must be positive. One answer I could reach now. Nature of charge. Now let me think of what should be the location. To know the location of this charge, what I do is that I'll go over here. How many forces this charge is experiencing? Two. Okay, two forces. One force I'll call it as a, say, small F1. I mean force exerted by capital Q, first capital Q. Another force, small F2 I can say. Force exerted by this charge. And now to get the resultant of these two, I must have those two of opposite direction which is already there. And what else I need? Those two forces need to be of same magnitude also. So I mean that F1 has to be equal to F2. I am writing this about this. And that gives me like F1 I am writing between these two. How much is that? 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 QQ divided by x square. This distance I have taken x equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 QQ divided by how much is this distance? R minus x. So whatever the things you can cancel, 1 upon 4 pi, 1 upon 4 pi QQ. What is left out with? X square equal to R minus x whole square. You can take a square root to the both side and you get x equal to R minus x. Minus is the equal to so 2x equal to you are getting R. And here I have got x equal to R by 2. Now this result to be remembered forever. What is to be remembered? The third charge which need to be introduced between or in the system between two charges must be, first conclusion what I have arrived at, opposite nature. Positive, this should be negative. And second answer what I am arriving at is it must be at the midpoint of those two charges for these to being equal. For these to being equal, and generally that equal we go with. Where you are keeping third charge? At the midpoint of separation between those two given charges. Let me go with the next answer. The next one is what should be the magnitude of this charge they are asking. I could already mention that one more force on this should be in the opposite direction. Let me call this as a capital F1. What is the capital F1? I am writing for force between these two. Capital F1. And I have got this as a capital F2. What for capital F2 I am writing? I can say force between these two. And they are in opposite direction. Need to be. And in addition to that, those two forces must be of equal magnitude. So I can write them. If you wish me, I will write in the vector form. F1 plus F2 resultant of these two forces need to be 0. Say I doesn't know what direction they have. What I know is only there are two forces on this charge. And those two forces must result into 0. That's what I know. And if I go ahead a step, that will suggest me that force F1 must be equal to minus force F2. So you mean these two forces must be of same magnitude and opposite direction. And that's what I was talking over there. So F1 minus F2, and minus sign to indicate they are oppositely directed. Equal to sign tells you that they are of same magnitude. So then, if they are of same magnitude, we can go ahead then. F1 and F2 are of same magnitude as I said. Capital F1. Capital F1 is the force between these two charges. I can work out that 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 q square ಆಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತದೆ divided by separation between them r square. Capital F2 force between these two, that is minus. They are oppositely directed. To say that they are oppositely directed. 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 q into q divided by how much is this x? Already we have mentioned x is r by 2. We already know that third charge has to be at the midpoint, and I will substitute that value. How much is that? R by 2 square and r square by 4 by 4. That 4 I will write here. By bandito I will write r. And now cancel whatever you can. Like 1 upon 4 pi, 1 upon 4 pi, r square, what you are left out is q square equal to minus 4q. 1 q from both sides you can cancel. And what you write is q equal to minus 4q. What do you need? Magnitude of the third charge. And a small q I need. So small q equal to I get minus q divided by 4. Very important result I have arrived at now. So in a system of like charges, same two charges, if I am asked to introduce a third charge, the third charge to be introduced should have a magnitude q by 4, 1/4 of whatever these two charges are. And the third charge should have, I already conceptually have told, and even that can be visualized in this via the negative sign. The third charge which I have got to be introduced here must be of opposite nature. If capital Q is positive, small q should be negative. If capital Q is negative, small q must be positive. And the location of the third charge I need to have at a midpoint between these two charges. Hope you got me this. Important. Most of the time in competitive examination they ask only this much. What is that? Two charges of same magnitude and same nature separated so and so. What should be the magnitude of third charge to be introduced? You can straight away, every time you need not to work out, you have to remember certain standard one. This is like a standard one. Where the third charge you introduced at the midpoint and magnitude of that third charge is this much. So you can note it down this, we will go ahead. Okay. So let's go ahead with the next question. Question number 5. A charge capital Q is to be divided on two objects, divided into two parts of the plate. What should be the value of the charges on two objects so that force between the objects can be maximum? Look here. Question number 5. What is given is that one charge, let us say capital Q is given. Charge on the body. Now this charge capital Q, I am asked to divide into two parts on the two objects, on the two bodies, like what you have mentioned there. So that can be done. Say for example, simultaneously I will take this here. Say I have got that capital Q as a 20 coulomb. This 20 coulomb of charge I can divide in varieties of the way. What are those? Like say for example, I can have first as a 1 coulomb, another 19 coulomb. First as a 2 coulomb, another 18 coulomb. 3 coulomb, 17 coulomb, 4, 16, 5, 15, 6, 14, 7, 13, 8, 12, 9, 11, 10, 10, 11, 9. Again this is going to go repeat in the reverse way. Flip flop again. So this is sufficient to get an idea, I feel. Now, after doing so in a varieties of way, which is that one pair among whatever you have got here. How many you have got? Like this is one pair, second pair, third pair, fourth pair, 10th pair. In that way you are going to get 20 pairs. Among those 20 pair of charges, which pair will have maximum force between? So if you remember, to calculate the force between two charges, we take an assistance of Coulomb's law, and that is F equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 Q1 Q2 by R square. Correct? Huh? Now my focus is for any two given pairs, whatever, whether it is first pair, second pair or any pair, I am going to have those two charges, those two divided parts in the air. So for every pair this parameter is going to be the same. Whichever pair I select, I am keeping in the air. Ashte alla, I am going to have those two charges in the pair and the same separation for every pair. So what does it mean then? Whatever the force I am going to have, that is going to be exclusively decided by product of magnitude of those two divided parts. So then what I ask you, just go on taking the product. Like the product here I get 19. The product here I get 36. The product here I get 51. The product I get here 64. 75. 84. 91. 96. 99. 100, again 99, we will repeat in a reverse way. So I am using a rough method to bring to your notice now. can see that Q1 Q2 product is maximum for that pair in which the two divided parts are of equal magnitude. The charge given is 20 coulomb. If you divide that 20 coulomb on the two bodies with the 10 on the one body, 10 on the another body, you are going to have maximum force for that pair. And this is what is the question actually asked. This is what the answer I need to write. This is the rough method what I shown you, but I need to go in a systematic way. With other approach I'll go with. See here. The first part of this charge, let us say I have a small q. Second part of this charge, then obviously I will have it as a capital Q minus small q. And I have brought to you notice, what is that? Force between charges in the pair is directly to the product of their magnitudes. Other terms are same, constant. Every pair is in the air, separation is same. So I can write in this F proportional to Q into Q minus Q. Thus further I can write F equals to one constant I will have. And what is there in the bracket? Q minus Q square. What I got is this much. Now I can clearly see that what is that? Force between two pairs is the function of divided part. Now this is small q. One of the part depend on another, obviously I will get. So this is 2 coulomb. This being 20, this is 2 coulomb. Another by default I get 18. So I can see force is a function of this small q. Force is a function of small q, and I need to remind you, whenever you have got variation between the two quantities, say for example, I have got a situation of this kind, there is a variation of x quantity with y, some x and y are there, and that variation what I could see is that is like this something. One curve I have got. And now, for that variation, if I ask you to calculate the slope and tan theta, or in your language of calculus you say slope equal to dy by dx, or you have written like a y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Slope this is like a calculus definition, you can say dy by dx you are written. And now, if you go on working that dy by dx at the different location, at one location on that curve, and which is that location I am going to focus here. This is the location. My y value for this point is y2 is y, y1 is also y. My x value, I have a particular value over here. X value, whatever is that. And how about y2 and y1? Y2 and y1 are same at that location. The two values, over here I have got dy by dx, and a straight like tangent I have got over that location. And if this slope is worked out at this location, you get that equal to 0. And I think in mathematics you are studying, this is called condition for maxima or even same for minima. If you have got variation between two physical quantity, two variables, if one dependent on another, like a y dependent on x, I can say that quantity y, what is this y value? Maximum you can say among all the values, this is the maximum. You get this y maximum for that value of x at which dy by dx is 0. So this can be referred as condition for maxima. But same way I have got here. What is that? I have got variation of force with with charge q, I can say not exactly like this. Say the variation I am going to get like this. For example, I am taking, and if variation is in that pattern, I need to know this is the maximum value of f. For what value of q f is to be maximum, I have to understand. And going with this pattern, I will have f maximum of that value of q, at which df by dq is equal to 0. I think even derivative part we have not studied. If not, just an idea. df, I mean, this is the first order derivative of f with respect to q, and that's what I am going to do here. If I work out this df by dq, I get, this is constant 0 1 by UV rule you can work it out. Now I'll go directly here. Derivative of this q, you got a q, you get derivative simple formula for your information, x to the power n equal to power down decrease power by 1. So that's what I am doing. This is my variable. Q to the power is 1. Power down decrease power by 1. 1 minus 1 power 0 you get for small q. Small q power 0 and 1. I am not writing that. Minus, again same rule you can use here. Power down decrease power by 1. 2 minus 1. And as I mentioned the condition there, if I want to have f maximum, then differentiation of f with respect to q has to be equal to 0. That's the condition which we have arrived at. So then I can just go ahead, q minus 2q equal to 0. I need to know about the small q. Then small q I get how much? Capital Q divided by 2. Very important thing. So already we have arrived to this conclusion by this method, I can say. But as I said, that's like a rough method to understand. Exactly you will have to go like this. You did not to work out in the competitive exam. What you need to remember is the result. What is that then? A given charge, if divided into two parts with different possible pairs, then you will have a maximum force for those two divided parts which have a value equal, and that equal value is how much? Half of the given charge. Given charge is q. This should be capital Q by 2, this should be capital Q by 2. That's what I have got here. That's what even we have mentioned here. 20, 10, 10. Q by 2, Q by 2. For that pair of charges, you will have maximum force experience. Just to get it down this, I know you can have a screenshot, but just write on the paper so that things will get more clearer. You can have just glance over here, note it down, we'll go ahead. Okay, so let us go ahead with the next problem, and that is the sixth one. Sixth problem is, two identical spheres are given having opposite sign, attracts each other, they are given with a force, they are given you, separated by distance is given. Now spheres are connected by conducting wire, then removed, and thereafter they repel each other with forces given. What were the initial charges on the sphere? I have to work out. Interesting and important again. Sixth problem. What is given? I have got two identical spheres. Right. These two identical spheres are given some charge. What is mentioned about the charge? Having charges of opposite sign and attract each other with the force they are given for the separation which is mentioned. Say I have got one charge as Q1, another charge as minus Q2, I say. Another charge is Q2, and as they are mentioned, attract, minus sign I have written. Then the force between these two charges. Now some of you might have a question in the mind, sir, are those point charges in case of spherical and in symmetric body, particularly sphere? You will have as if that whole charge concentrated at the center of the sphere. Uniform distribution you have got. So in that case you can treat them like a point charge and work out. So the force between these two you get then 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 Q1 Q2, only magnitude, minus Q2 you should not write, divided by r square. So the first force which is given me, how much is that force? 0.108 Newton equals to 9 into 10 to the power 9. This value I am writing. Q1 Q2 divided by R is also given, that is 0.5 whole square. So this I will call as the equation 1. You can rearrange and Q1 Q2 value you can arrive at. Okay. Let me go ahead. What is done further is, now these two spheres, which is mentioned that these two spheres now are connected by one conducting wire. So what will happen then? Like two containers you have got, filled with liquid of different liquid level. As soon as you make a connection between those two containers, what is to happen? Liquid will flow from one container to another container, because difference in the liquid level is there. And the direction of flow of liquid will get decided by the level of liquid. Liquid will flow from high liquid level container to the lower liquid level container. In the same way, in electrostatic, whenever you connect charged conductor by some connecting wire, or you bring them in contact also, Even without this wire, if you bring them in contact, what is to happen? Charge will flow from one conductor to another conductor. And here, direction of flow of the charge has been decided by quantity which we shall study later called potential. So charge will flow from higher potential body to the lower potential body. As like liquid level decides the flow of liquid, potential decides the flow of charge. And for your information, flow of liquid will continue until both the containers attain equal level. In the same way, flow of charge from one body to the another body will continue until both of them attain same potential. And if you work it out, particularly in case of identical conductor, identical and geometry wise identical. In case of identical conductor, after working out, after learning a concept of potential, you can do that. You will get to know that each of the conductor will acquire a charge. See, before connecting, charge on the first one was Q1, charge on the second one was minus Q2. But in case, if these two are connected and allowed to have a flow of charge, that flow of charge will continue until potential becomes same, and after happening that, you notice that charge on the first one is Q1 dash, charge on the second one is Q2 dash. And for your information, this Q1 and Q2 dash, if you work it out, is found to be equal. In case of identical, I am talking. In case of identical conductor, this Q1 and Q2 are Q1 dash and Q2 dash are found to be equal. I am talking about this Q1 dash after shuffling of charges. Q2 dash after shuffling of charges, charge in the second one. And this charge is found to be Q1 plus Q2 divided by 2. What is Q1? Charge on the first one. What is Q2? Charge on the second one by 2. So you mean in case of identical conductor, after making a contact, directly contact or by the means of connecting wire, each of the identical conductor will acquire a charge half of the net charge before connection. So Q1 is 10 coulomb, Q2 is minus 20 coulomb. What is the net charge? You will have to follow that additive property. Plus 10 minus 20 minus 10 is the net charge. So then Q1 dash, Q2 dash, I will have how much? Minus 10 by 2. And minus 5 coulomb, minus 5 coulomb. Say Q1 is 20 coulomb and Q2 is minus 8 coulomb. What is the net charge? Plus 20 minus 8 plus 12. So Q1 plus Q2 is plus 12 by 2. Q1 dash will have 6 coulomb, Q2 dash will have 6 coulomb. Notice that. For the identical conductor, you are getting Q1 dash and Q2 dash not only like charges but of same magnitude also. So after making a contact, they are like charges now acquired by both the conductors. And you know, in case of like charges, what is to happen? Has to have a repulsion. And same is mentioned in the problem. Before they were attracting by the force which is given. Later on they are repelling with the force they have given there. How much is that force? 0.036 Newton. So what is to be done now? This contact is to be broken once the charges, shuffling of charge has stopped. And these two conductors once again are taken to the separation that you had before. How was the separation that we had before? Equal to R, which is given as 0.5. Now I have a charge on both of them. Charge on the first one is Q1 dash. Charge on the second one is Q2 dash. I can work out the force between these two charges once again by using this relation F1. So the new force I have got like F dash I say. How much is that? Same area, 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0. Charges no longer I have got q1 and q2, rather charges are now q1 dash and q2 dash, whereas distance is one and same. How much is the distance? R square I can write. F dash is given to me. How much is f dash? 0.036 equal to 9 into 10 to the power 9. Q1 dash, Q2 dash, I have got it. Q1 dash equal to Q2 dash, and that is equal to Q plus Q2. In the present case, this is a negative charge. I have taken one of that. You can write Q1 minus Q2. So I can write this as Q1 minus Q2 by 2. Twice I should write. Q1 dash is this. Q2 dash same way. You can take this as a square. Divided by 0.5 whole square. So let me call this as my equation 2. And after doing this conceptually, this is a concept. What is the concept? Two identical charged conductors, when charged independently and brought in contact, because of bringing in contact, shuffling of charges will take place. That shuffling of charge will continue until they attain equipotential. And for identical conductor, once the shuffling of charge stops, each of the conductor now will acquire a charge q1 dash, q2 dash, which are equal, and that is equal to half of the net charge. So I arrived after this. What I do now? I just take the ratio of these two equations. Like I can divide to this 0.036 divided by 0.108. Substitute that here and divide over here. So go for the calculation, and after doing so, you will otherwise separately you can do q1 equal to q2 calculate madrili. Have a reference of that q1 equal to q2. Even this you go ahead rearrange. You first work out q1 minus q2 by 2 whole square equal to, take a rule, q1 minus q2 equal to you arrive at. Then from q1 equal to q2 you have got that. What you do, from here you arrive at q1 equal to q2. One value bರ್ತದೆ, you can work it out there. And even if you do this, you will arrive at some value q1 minus q2 equal to some value you get. And from here, q1 value you substitute in term of q2. Illidu. See x adidu. q1 equal to x by q2. x by q2. Ikkada irtade y something value. And then you get this as a quadratic equation either in q1 or q2. Quadratic equation, if it is easily solvable, easy factors if you have got, you can come to the answer. If not, you can go to that third equation. X equal to plus x equal to, you can write that. You can go with that formula. Root of formula you can go with. And you can arrive to the two roots for the q1 value or q2 value. And once you have done that, that is your final answer. So this is all about problem number 6. I hope you will carry forward the calculation. So 3 more problems are left out. We shall solve in the next period. So sir is waiting. 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th, 4 problems more are there. You try on your own and hopefully few of them if you could get, you solve. Otherwise we can finish these 4 problems in the next period, and then we can begin with further concept called electric field. Okay, see you tomorrow.